Welcome to Mechs on Deck. It is Wednesday.
My dudes.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Today we have a special guest. Is it Upas? Upas? I don't know exactly how to say it.
I mean, when it first started, it was Upas, but like Upas is what it is, I guess.
Okay.
It's just the way most people pronounce it. So Upas.
He's the owner and operator of Canon Keys. Designer
the man,
of
the myth, the legend.
Dude, lots of boards. It's been a busy year for you, man. Busy year.
It's been a crazy year, yeah.
Well, chat, how is everyone doing tonight?
How we doing? Shout out real quick. We had a scheduling, as you guys might be aware, it can be difficult to bring people on at a specific time every week. And we had a bit of a scheduling conflict due to international time zones. So we actually were without a guest, and we were able to get Upas on. So thank you very much on the short notice. And by short notice, I mean literally Monday night sitting on my couch on my phone. I was like, hey, bro.
I mean, to your credit, you asked me about today, like last month sometime, and I just didn't see the DM. So,
But no, we definitely appreciate it. And big shout outs to Brez 1623 and Jack Statics for the tier 1 subs. Appreciate it. Yeah. It's funny. The guest that we had planned for this is traveling home from Korea and forgot that there was a giant time difference, and he's on a plane coming home right now from a boot camp. So so definitely appreciate you being able to flex in and be here with us tonight.
yeah, I mean, no worries.
So quick shout out to our sponsors real quick. Switchmod.net/mechsondeck will get you 4% off. Lube, springs, all that goodness. I believe he is not running a key set this month as to not compete. He did get most key sets sold in November though. So congrats to Switchmod. Be sure to check him out. Zap cables, get some of the best cables made on this planet. Or you can make them yourself with a DIY kit. You can check our YouTube video for that. And he's also got awesome desk mats and some really awesome stickers. And last but not least, mechsondeck.dixiemech.com. Go check out GMK Dual Shot.
Pretty awesome. Also, quick shout out again to Pilot XJ for the tier 1 sub or Prime sub for 4 months. Appreciate it.
Yeah, if you guys had Prime, you were like, hey, I need to get Prime for 1 month for Christmas. Let's do this. You also get a sub. So consider Mechs on Deck or other people, but you can share the love, but we wouldn't mind the love either.
Can you
right on the base? Subscribe with Prime. There it is.
Can you buy Prime just for a month?
I don't know if you can.
Yeah, you can go month to month on. It's more expensive. It's more expensive than if you just bought the year. But yeah.
Interesting. So, I didn't know that. I didn't know you could go month to month.
I know that either.
I know they increased the price. It was 100, and now it's 120, I think. It just kind of happens. I just occasionally see,
$13 a month, which makes sense that about $10 a month is what you would pay normally, and then be up whatever the word I'm thinking. Man, I don't know. I'm trying to read and talk at the same time. By the way, I forgot to put in the title. I will edit that in just a second. You can exclamation point guest and hit up Canon Keys with that link. So, but anyway, so Upas, we if you have caught some of our previous interview streams or just chatting streams, we've kind of moved away from the title of interviews. We have it's called our Fast Four, though, to get people to get to know you a little bit. So top 4, and they do not have to be in any particular order, top 4 favorite switches.
Oh, top 4 favorite switches. This probably won't be super surprising, but really like Gat Yellows. I like them lubed with MCG 129 Crystal Lube. So far, it hasn't worn out for me. I have no idea how longevity is going to be, but so far, so good. Hako Violets. They're my favorite tactile switch. I don't think any other switch is as it's like it has like a pretty good tactile event, but they're not super heavy. They're actually quite light, and that's why I like them.
Mhm.
Um, After those two, I like inks, but like if I were gonna use inks, I would just use yellows. Like after you lube them, to me they kind of feel the same. So um, I'm sure that's not the case for some other people, but for me, like inks are good. And then for number four, I gotta go with the holy pandas. They're good. Like
They're just a solid switch.
yeah, they're solid. So
So how far ahead is Gat Yellows than everything else on that list? Because as soon as we asked the question, like 4 people started saying your top two.
well, I mean, Gat Yellows and Hako Violets for me are like, why should I build with anything else? Like, I like them a lot. I like Gat Yellows for linears. I would say they're pretty far ahead. But if I want to do a tactile build, I actually like Hako Violet's stock. I like them unlubed. I think they sound really nice. Um,
It's
yeah,
also
that's
hard to lube box switches. So
yeah. I've done it once. I did it once. It was okay. Like I didn't think it was worth the effort to lube it. It didn't feel like that much smoother, and I don't think it sounded as good. So I don't like lubing them actually.
Yeah, it's a lot of extra time. Luba box switch. The next on the top, the fast four would be top 4 key sets.
Key sets. Oh man. Okay. Oh, this is a hard one. Um, okay, so I really like GMK Shoko. Uh, Missed out on the group buy, and I got it aftermarket. It sucked. Like paying that much for a key set, it was rough. But
you
I
gotta do
really
what you
really
gotta
like that
do,
set.
man.
What's that?
You gotta do what you gotta do sometimes.
Yeah, I know. It was like the first key set I really bought like aftermarket for that much, you know. But it was really really nice. I have it on my EXT65, which is the one with the left side numpad, and I really like it. Um, I like Cat Alpha, and the reason is because it's the only available like cat set right now, and I really like the cat profile. So that's probably my number two. Number three, I got to go with like classic GMK white on black. It's like it goes with literally like anything. It's really nice. It makes your boards look really nice. And then for number four, so disclaimer, I'm only doing sets that have shipped. So like I
Mhm.
have some really favorite ones but they haven't shipped yet. So like that doesn't count. For number four, probably Olivia. Like it's a solid set. I might be a little bit biased because there's something right here that I'm staring at right now, but yeah, I like Olivia. It's a nice set.
I feel
Just
like
what do I like? I'm just gonna look around the room and see what I like.
I feel like Olivia though is like reaching the point of like a 9009, like in terms of it being almost like a classic in the community of like people just know that set as like that's one that they want. Like minimal kind of is another candidate for something like that. So yeah.
Well, and I think Olivia kind of took over Carbon in that for that
Mhm.
this is the set. This is the set that I like. It's pretty plain and simple. It's got some simple colors with an accent color. I like it. And Carbon used to be kind of the big man on campus for a long time, and then now Carbon's just kind of there.
Yeah, I mean, I got Carbon. I think that was probably one of the like the first key set group buys I bought. But I don't know, like the alphas are like too creamy. Like they're too beige
Mhm.
for me. Like I don't think it goes as well with as many boards. I think orange is also just kind of harder to match with certain boards. So
Mhm.
Absolutely. You got to
Absolutely.
be like either silver or like a gray or a black to really match it. If you try to
mhm.
match it with an orange, you can get into a weird color, a weird look. I know that was like a big thing when Olivia first released. People were like, "Wait, this doesn't match my rose gold like M65.
Yeah, even if it doesn't match perfectly, I think Olivia can still look good on like rose gold boards,
Mhm.
which I think is what makes it a nice set.
Absolutely.
Next up, should we limit you to something that Canon Keys has not been a part of?
Yeah, I think so.
You can.
Okay.
Yeah, you can.
So top 4 favorite boards cannot
Boards,
have
okay.
no ties with Canon Keys.
So can't have run it, can't have designed it.
Yep.
Okay. So it's always changing. Because I keep getting new boards and trying out new boards. I really like my number 1 Rev 1. That one I built with Hako Violets, and it's really nice. I use it at work. I like it a lot. Number 2, I'm gonna go with EXT65, and it might be a little bit of recency bias because I just like got it built and have been using it a little bit. And it's got Shoko on it, so like that helps. But I really like that board. It's really really cool. Let me see the cipher. So I had a cipher. I had a cipher from West Foxtrot's original run. Um, I don't have it anymore because I joined like the public run. But I really like that. I had a carbon fiber plate with Hako Violets again, and that was like really really solid. And then finally, 4th favorite board. I'm just trying to think of like customs I've bought that I've used for like a really long time. Like I've liked it so much I've use it a ton. Um, I don't know. I'm kind of drawing a blank. I want to say this is like maybe unconventional, but my Q frequency from Kibio. That's one I
Oh,
use quite a bit. It's like a split one. It's
Mhm.
like a aluminum plate sandwich with like a 3D printed middle layer. Um, but I use that a lot actually when I was like first starting out into like customs, and it was probably like one of the first keyboards I built. So it has like a special place for me, I guess.
It's pretty awesome. I don't think that's one that's ever been on. That's never been on the list before.
It's not like a super high end custom, but it's like a solid little kit.
Yeah.
2 of
And,
those
and
haven't
it's
been
split.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the last question, the final of the 4 would be your top 4 favorite foods.
Top 4 favorite foods. Okay, I love desserts. I'm like huge fan of desserts. Bad for me, but like, hey, you gotta do what you gotta do, right?
Listen,
Yeah, absolutely.
look at me, man. Like, you think I'd care about things that are bad for me?
Chewy only
So,
married
like-
his wife because she's great at baking.
So yeah, it's definitely for desserts. I would have to say like apple pie is like way up there. Mint chocolate chip ice cream.
Ooh.
Gotta go mint chocolate chip. It's so good.
Disagree, but respect.
Okay, yeah.
I just don't like minty things.
I feel like mint chocolate chip's like polarizing.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people really like it, but a lot of people are just like, nah, it's toothpaste. Like I can't eat that.
That's how I feel.
I'm down. I love me some mint chocolate
It's
chip.
like the cilantro debate where it's like some people think it tastes like hand sanitizer, and some people think it tastes like cilantro. Or is it hand sanitizer or
Tastes like
dish
soap, right?
dish soap?
Dish soap. Okay. Yeah. So apple pie, ice cream, um, like a good fudge brownie. That's real good. And then I really like cinnamon. So like a churro is probably my 4th.
There you
So
go.
yeah, 4 desserts had to be desserts. It's like I love them. I can't have them, but they're good.
So you're the guy that like whenever people are like, whenever the waiter comes and is like, "Do y'all want dessert?" You're like the one guy that's like, "Yes," and everyone else is like,
Yes.
"We just want to leave, dude. Come on."
I'll get the souffle.
That is
I think
totally
it's
me.
from
That is
Family
totally
Guy.
me. I'll be out at
souffle.
dinner with my girlfriend, and like it'll be like they'll ask like, "Do you want dessert?" And she just looks at me because she knows like I'm gonna say yes.
They always bring 2 spoons, and you're just like, "What is this other spoon here for?"
Surprisingly accurate, yeah.
Oh, I know. That's me as well. It's a family tradition of having a sweet tooth. So I feel you.
I I always grew up where my parents were like, we're gonna buy like one skinny piece of cheesecake. And it's the same cheesecake every time we go anywhere. It's the exact same flavor. It's raspberry cheesecake. We're gonna get one tiny piece, and we're gonna share. And so, just grew up hating the fact that I only got like 2 bites of cheesecake because I was the little brother.
That's how it be sometimes.
That's how it be sometimes. So, Canon Keys. So, Canon Keys, for those who don't know, has kind of exploded this year. As the beginning of this year, I'm not as well versed on the history of Canon Keys. I honestly can't think of the first thing. I think it was a PCB. I think the Instant 60 was one of the first things that I saw from Canon Keys.
Mhm.
And so tell us, I guess, about how you got started with Canon Keys, and you kind of went from not many people knowing you to top 3 in NA. So
Yeah, I don't know about top 3 NA, but maybe one day. Anyways, so I actually started Canon Keys. I had the idea for Canon Keys like late last year, not that late, but sometime last year. Um, Basically, when I got into the hobby, it was last year in 2018. I started with like a lot of DIY stuff, and I really wanted to try ortholinear keyboards. But at the time, it was like first you would have to buy a plunk, and there was like a really long queue on OLKB to get a plunk. So, and not only that, it was also like I think $70 to get like a plunk PCB and the 2 plates just to put them together. So that not including like keycaps and switches, it was like $70, right? And I really just wanted to try out like ortholinear keyboards, but I didn't really want to invest a ton of money, so I ended up designing like the Ortho 48, which is like I'm not trying to shill, but like it's like this really cheap kit that you can put together um, to just try out ortholinear keyboards. It's not hot swap or anything. You have to solder a ton because nothing's already soldered, but
oh,
um, it's cheap, right? Like if you don't want to invest the money, you can do that.
mhm.
So that was kind of like uh, its inception. I wanted to get these like cheap kits out there. I also made like the Practice 60, the Ortho 60. I just felt like there was a gap in the market. And then from there, I remember the first GMK group I ran was GMK Waves, which, by the way, is arriving here next week, so it should be shipping soon.
Nice.
Um,
Both of us are in on that.
Yep.
yeah, dude, have you seen the photos from like Europe? They
It
look pretty
looks
good.
it looks
Yeah.
It
incredible.
looks solid. It looks solid. I don't think I'm going to be holding on to it. I think I'm going to be trading for something just
Uh huh.
because I kind of FOMO bought that. That's probably the biggest like FOMO. Like, I don't know if I'm going to want it or not.
Yeah.
but don't worry because there's another keycap group I am impatiently waiting for.
Nice. So yeah, I like then so GMK Waves was the first one I ran. And I feel like that's kind of when the store took off. Like more people heard about Canon Keys after I ran that. And then like somewhere along the line, like the Instant 60 came out. Um, I was designing the Satisfaction 75 last year. I started designing it in November of last year. And then like just the fact that I was selling these kits, it kind of made sense to like just run it myself and do it on Canon Keys, and I think that helped as well. So that's kind of how it started and took off.
No, you've had some great group buys run. I know a lot of people are really excited for the Satisfaction 75 because it's new and fresh, and we've talked about quite a bit about the uh, the kind of flexibility of designing a 75%.
Hmm.
How I know Cyrus is big on 75% boards due to how creative you can be with that. So that was something that hadn't really been done on in the custom level of having a rotary keyboard.
Yeah, I really like 75. I like having an escape key.
Mhm.
And then for me, it feels like if you're going to go to 65 and add the arrows, you might as well just add the extra row, go to 75. So
Bingo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My thought, we had a video where we went, I think it was actually a 2-part video where we went through like we did our favorite
layout.
layouts, like every layout, like all the main ones versus each other and why you would pick one versus not. And yeah, 75% to me, it's the most creative. You see the most variance. It's one of
Mhm.
those things when you look at, I feel like when you look at 60% for the most part, a lot of them look the same. And even now 65% are starting to kind of have uh this same layout overall with the blocker on the right side, and 75% all look different. Like I'm typing on a my orange 75 tonight, and it looks different than a Xeno, which looks different than a Satisfaction 75, which looks different from really everything else.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's yeah. There's a lot of room for like just like creativity and design in 75s, which is really cool.
So, and then, so yeah, and then the other thing, which I've said this before, and I was really excited, and you actually helped me a lot during this problem and issue, is the ANSI.
Mm-hmm.
So the ANSI, which if you guys don't know, the ANSI, I will say, for a PCB you can get right now, it's the best. There is no better 60% solderable PCB out there that you can get right now. It is tied
Thanks,
for
guys.
first. I think to me, I think it is tied for first of the best PCB for a 60% board to be released. The WTD60 is also fantastic. But if you like LEDs, you're screwed on that. I don't like LEDs, so I don't really, it doesn't bother me. But I love building on the ANSI. It was fantastic. And then mine, typically when I was, I got in on the group of the pre-order,
Oh yeah.
and so there's a problem with VIA, and then it getting ported over to VIA, and then VIA updating itself to like prevent me from using it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then of course, like while all that was happening, you were like on vacation.
Yeah. Yeah. I was. And then
And I felt
and
so
then
bad because I'm like, I need help.
the worst part about the ANC, and it was totally like my fault. I got prototypes of it. And I did not realize I didn't build an ANC with the 625 layout.
Mhm.
So the whole first batch of ANC PCBs, I think I bought like 250 of them. They all had a screwed up bottom row where you couldn't build it with 6.25 because the spacing was wrong.
Mhm.
So that was kind of a wild ride as well. Luckily, it seems that most people prefer 7U. So um, what I did was I like emailed everybody and offered a refund or a replacement for free. Um,
You handled that perfectly, by the way.
I felt like I had to, right? Like
Yeah. I mean, and you did. I remember getting that email. Sweet. Like, this is such a cool way of like getting this all solved. And
yeah, but I've been way more careful with PCBs ever since. It was a good lesson.
Yeah, always check all the layouts.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
you weren't the first to have that mistake, and I'm sure you won't be the last where something messes up on spacings or whatnot. So, but yeah, ANSI, and I saw some people asking what makes the ANSI special. I feel like it's just it it doesn't have Swiss cheese on the bottom. It's not overly flashy, more so than it needs to be. It's got a great like solder mask on it. It just solders well. Um, it like actually feels good. Like
yeah, it's an
that's the other piece.
amazing PCB.
It's a good PCB.
Like starting from the top, it's Type C. It like bottom row support is minimal, so you're not screwed when it comes, like Osiris said, when it comes to like if you want to do a plateless build, it's not impossible. Difficult, but not impossible. And then it's got VIA support, which more and more I'm starting to see. But yeah, Pilot XJ said it's got VIA support. Not a lot of people have that, and that makes for those who don't know, VIA on the fly flashing is like probably one of the best things to come out in the community this entire year. Is that more and more PCBs are being implemented on that, and then on top of all of that, the solder, what's the word I'm looking for? The discs or whatever, the metal
Pads.
soldering pads are some of the high. Like before that, the Nerd 60 was my favorite because the pads were amazing, and then the ANSI came in. And I was like, oh, okay, this was very similar to that and slightly better because it's a newer PCB. So
For the pads, I just use those were all made by AIO3. Like he has like a library of like switch cutouts and everything. So when I design my PCBs, I just rely on like all the stuff that he's put out. He
there
does a
you go.
lot of he does a lot of good stuff.
He does. And I'm surprised when I go back and look at stuff, I'm like, man, like things from like a couple of years ago that I didn't even realize were by him. Like I'm just like, oh, hey, I didn't even know that was AIO3. But yeah, and the other thing, the big thing to me is like, it's if you're in North America, Canon Keys is here in North America. The price of them, I don't have to wait for like a DZ60 from China. You know,
Yep.
I can just buy it today. I get it in a week maybe, and it's only $45. It's a steal for a PCB in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I try to keep it competitive. So I don't know. I wish I could offer more, like Black Friday sales and stuff like that. I see like some other vendors doing it, but like I feel like I just don't have enough like stock or inventory yet. Or,
just live close to
yeah,
Upas and
just
get 1 day shipping.
hand delivery.
not even. I like for I1A, like he lives like in Massachusetts and I'm in Rhode Island. So if I go drop it off, my post office is a hub. So if you live that close, a lot of the times it is just like next day it'll arrive.
It's already there.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So got a couple questions from chat or Cyrus. I don't know if you want to.
Oh no, go ahead.
Question real quick. Talisman asks if you are comfortable answering this. So I guess I'll ask for this first. Is Canon Keys your full-time gig?
No, I'm not full time on Canon Keys. I'm still doing it after work, so it can be some long nights, but
Props to you there.
I like it a lot, so worth it.
So Talisman asks about your day-to-day job. Once again, you don't have to answer this, and educational background, which you don't have to answer, but this does lead into some questions.
Okay, so I'm a software engineer. I think that's kind of what drew me into keyboards too. Like I use a MacBook at work, and the keyboard leaves a lot to be desired. So
It's bad.
what actually got yeah, that's like a nice way to put it, right? What actually drew me back into the hobby was like my Mac keyboard was just like terrible. So I've at home I've had a mechanical keyboard, and finally I was like I needed one for work, so I started looking, and early last year that's what drew me back in. So yeah, and then for educational background, I went to University of Maryland, got a computer science degree, and that's what led to my
Terps.
job. So yeah, go Terps. Yeah.
Coolest college football uniforms in the country.
Fear the turtle. Yeah.
fear the turtle, man.
Turtle.
Oh.
So Mr. Petrov asks, where did you learn to design PCBs?
Okay, so I learned how to design off of, I think it was called like Rookie Mao or something like that. Rookie Mao's PCB guide. It was before AIO3 had written he has like a whole wiki on like how to design PCBs. But before that existed, there was like this other guide that people would refer you to. So I started there, and then I just kind of tried things out until I figured out how to make it work. And having like a computer science background kind of helped, especially like on the QMK side and getting all that stuff to work. So I feel like that definitely helped. But in terms of like the actual PCB design, that was basically just like following guides and trying things out until I got something that worked.
Very nice. And that was by Mr. Petrov, who also asks, why do you hate WinKeyless?
I don't hate wing keyless. It's just that I actually use those keys. Like on a 60% where you have 4 keys on the right side, I actually use them sometimes. Like not frequently, but I'll actually use them. I use one for function, I use alt, and I use control. And then the other key I use as like a second function layer sometimes for like media and stuff like that. Sure, I could put it all on one layer, but that's how I like using it. So
I mean, that's like the beauty of mechanical keyboards is like you can do exactly what you want. Like
Yeah, exactly.
if you want to have split backspace and a 6.25 bottom row, you can. Like you're not stuck.
That's true.
Is there any other questions from chat that you saw?
That is the I'm up to date on chat. If you do have questions, just if you don't mind, if you have questions throughout, I just kind of write them down as we go. Just hit the @next on deck so I don't miss it.
Yeah, so I kind of wanted to ask a couple questions about the Satisfaction 75 because there were some things that were kind of, I think, newer, I guess, in that, especially at that time in the community. One of them was, I know that it was kind of a big reveal, and that is the weight design.
Yeah. So the whole idea behind the Satisfaction 75, it was inspired by like a boat, right? The Satisfaction is Captain Morgan, like of the rum, like it was his flagship, right? It was his like big pirate ship. And when I was like designing the Satisfaction 75, I wanted to make the back curve look like a boat, kind of. That's where it came from. So I wanted a theme. I also wanted a theme that kind of fit with like Canon Keys, right? And like who used cannons? Like pirates, right? So it kind of all kind of followed from that. When I first started designing it, it was really just like I want to make a 75% with a knob and a screen, right? That was like the goal. And then once I had like the PCB done, I'm like, okay, now I got to make this case, right? I got to make it, and that's where I was like looking for inspiration, and it's like Cannons, Pirates, Satisfaction, great. The weight design was kind of, I know some people like don't like it, but I wanted to do something different as well. Like I don't know. I think I saw like one of these fancy TGRs that had like something engraved really nicely on it, like a little cat thing or something. I don't know exactly what it was. And I was like, you know, like why does it have to be limited to like just this board? Why can't other people have stuff like this? So I asked Jade who does GMK Moon, who's doing GMK Moondust and has done a lot of art for like GMK Mizu and Peaches and Cream and Terra. Like she's helped Chesley with all that stuff, and or Rensuya with all that stuff. And you know, she made like this awesome artwork, and I'm like, I need to put this on the weight. This is awesome. So that's kind of where it came from.
It's, I think, I know I've seen some people be like, well, why did they do this? And I'm like, I feel like it's kind of another step in making a board unique, making it different. It doesn't need to be like just a blank piece of brass. I think it's really cool. There's a lot of possibilities with doing things like you did with the weight of the Satisfaction 75.
Yeah, and I know it's not for everyone. That's also why, like, when I sold it, I had a request from a bunch of people, like, hey, can you offer the weight without engraving? So I sold extras and they were blank. Like, if you wanted one, you could get one. But for me, it, like, I wanted it on there, and I thought it fit with the theme and it'd be nice.
I mean, the best advice I ever got when designing a board was just make a board for you. Other people will like it. Like, and if they don't like it, guess what? Move on, because there's someone else out there that will like it and will buy it.
Yeah, and honestly, that's kind of how it started, the Satisfaction 75. I wanted to make it for myself. I got a first prototype and I was like, I need to make some more changes. And I was already like, you know, a lot of money in the hole. So I'm like, hey, maybe I should see if other people want this. And if so, like maybe I can make back the prototyping costs. So
Trinity Gamer. That's the most accurate. If you build it, they will buy it.
Very true. Very true. The other thing I wanted to ask you about was the knob, because that was kind of a thing we were seeing early this year. There was a little wave of knob rotary encoder things. There was like the couple macro pads, and then of course the Satisfaction 75. And there's been a couple other things since. But what is your Sorry, I just saw chat.
There it is. There it is. I was like, where it's coming. When do we get that statement?
But can you tell me a little bit about the rotary encoder, so I don't say the word knob again? Um,
Yeah, I mean, I thought it would be useful. That's why I put it on a keyboard, right? Personally, for me, what I do with mine is I have it control volume and then play and pause. So I can like control the volume and I press it to have music play or pause. Um, and it's like way easier for me to just do that as opposed to like hitting like holding like a bunch of keys and holding my function key and doing like volume up or whatever. It just it feels different. It's more intuitive, I guess. Um, yeah, I want to do something different, right? I want to do something different, and then I didn't want to just like throw a knob on the board either. I wanted to do it in like a thoughtful way, and that's kind of where the screen came from. It's like, look, this knob can do a lot of things, and like you don't have to limit it to just like some people want to scroll with it, some people want to do media controls with it, but why limit yourself to just one, right? The problem with
Mhm.
that is like, how do you know what it's going to do? Well, if you have a screen that tells you like, hey, this knob is now in media mode, like, well, that solves the problem, right? So, um, so yeah, like that's why I wanted to put a knob on a keyboard. I'm reading chat. I'm reading Twitch
No,
chat.
oh, we are as well. We are as well.
If you
Good.
guys want to see my knob, I'm using my satisfaction.
let's see the
Yeah.
knobs. I like, and someone clip Upas saying, "Do you guys want to see my knob?"
This is my knob.
Is that one of
There it
the
is.
the Rama knobs? Because
That's not the Rama knob. This one's actually from this guy on Geek Hack, Victor Stagnetti. He reached out to me and was like, "Hey, let's make these knobs." And then I think I just recently heard back from him. Hopefully, we can offer more of these this type of knob.
I would get a Fender one if I had a Satisfaction
yeah,
75.
like from a guitar.
I'd go get it. I'd probably just go grab one off of my guitar
Yeah.
and use it.
Yeah, so the default knob is actually like it's like a guitar knob. You can use it on a Telecaster and be right at home. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I was gonna be one of the things. Did you just like buy a whole bunch from like Sweetwater or something? Just buy a whole bunch of different
I
guitar
tried a
knobs?
bunch of different knobs. Yeah, I tried like knobs off like Alibaba and AliExpress, and then I tried some like guitar knobs, like a bunch of different guitar knobs. I spent a lot on, on knobs.
Well, and I feel like the Rama one was kind of slept on. I think I've seen many posts of people once it came out, people being like, "Man, I really wish I would have gotten the Rama."
I wish I
So
bought more extras. Like that's what that means for me. Like it's a missed opportunity for Canon Keys. Yeah. Um, but it's nice. Yeah, like I was really impressed with how the Rama knob turned out. And the way that worked was I had like a very basic 3D model of a knob that would fit, and I sent it to them, and then they came up with like, this is the knob that we're gonna do, and it was awesome. So yeah,
WT1155 asks, "Will there be extras?" I imagine you're asking if there are extras. Satisfaction 75s.
yeah. So my first priority is like all the people who were in the group buy. I want them to be happy, right? So I'm holding on to the extras in case I need to like swap things out, things get damaged in shipping, things like that. So extras probably won't land until sometime in January. But when they do, there will be some, and I'll make an announcement. I have a newsletter now. I've only sent one email to it, but I'll probably start sending more. So if you want to join that, you can. I don't really publicize it yet because I don't use it that much, but I can try to find the link and put that somewhere. One sec, I'll pull it up.
So
All
this
right.
conversation as an adult was hard to get through.
um,
All right, sorry, Time Lord Alonzi. I'm asking once he gets this. So you got the link. Don't worry, I have it written down. What would be the rect layout? Rect being REKT in caps.
Okay, the wrecked. So I made the brutal, which was a 60. It was based on the Boston City Hall, which is like a beacon of brutalism architecture. And if you see it, it just has like this the top just like slashes in, and that's kind of where the inspiration for the brutal 60 came from. And I think there was like a Dota 2 meme where like this one announcer said like brutal, savage, wrecked, or something like that. So I just kind of rolled with it. Savage is a 65% along those same lines, and then the Rect. I actually have one. I was gonna bring one to Socal, but um, it wasn't ready in time. And it's wait, what?
Dixie's
ask it. Dixie asks, "Will there be an E-coded rect? An E-rect?" Dixie Mac, everybody.
There will not be an erect. I feel like if I made an erect, I would put a knob on it, right?
Yeah, I was about to say, does it have a knob?
But no, this is the rect right here.
Oof, get wrecked, scrubs.
Yeah,
I was wondering what that
Correct.
was because I was like, that's got some cool stuff on it.
Right here.
Are you going to show the back or is the back secret?
I mean, you can see the back. It's the same as the Savage and the.
Oh, okay.
Like,
So
you
just
can see it's just a little Canon logo.
Nice.
Yeah.
Which the Canon logo is awesome, by the way.
Yeah, it's.
I actually shout out to my designer friend Justin who made it for me. He did it for free when I was starting. He's like, "Oh, I'll help you out." Yeah. So this is the Rect. This is the Rect 1800. There's no PCB in it. It's totally just for show right now. It's a lie, but yeah, this is it.
Do you have deets on that? Any details of timeline, price, all that good stuff?
I'm still working that stuff out. I have to make sure I just got the PCB prototypes in. I have to make sure those are good.
Make sure you check that 6.25.
Oh yeah,
and 7U.
Well, this one's 6.25. I gotta check the 7.25 still. But yeah, in terms of details, it's going to be in stock, just like the Savage 65. So for the more affordable keyboards I'm running, I'm going to try to keep them in stock. We'll see what level of success that has. Oh, did I say 7.25? I meant 7. So
you did. Drifting Bunnies is a very detailed man.
Oh yeah. But yeah, so the plan is to run it as an in-stock buy. It'll happen when it happens, when it's ready. I honestly don't know. If I knew a time frame, I would say.
You've got my PayPal. Just send the invoice.
Yeah, one of the colors offered is going to be rose gold. I'm definitely going to do rose gold, black, navy, and then one other color. I don't know what the other color is going to be yet. So, if you have suggestions, hit me up.
Kelly Green.
Not E-Code though.
Not E-Code. He doesn't want to have the erect.
Erect. Yeah. Burgundy would be good. We haven't seen. I guess you had the Savage 65 was in Burgundy, right?
I did the Savage 65 in Burgundy, and it didn't sell that well, actually. It sold the worst out of navy, lilac, and black, and burgundy.
I think the hardest with those is certain sets have to go with red.
Yeah.
And there are not a lot of sets coming out. You know, Sparta kind of failed, sadly. And then you've got your choice of Hamon, which if you don't want to go that far into red. So we are starting to see more and more like gray sets and like GMK Ashes coming out soon. But yeah, I think that's a tough part with I think red boards where it hard to bounce off of.
I think I saw one with like a OG beige set or 9009, and it looked really nice. The burgundy plus 9009. That like I really like seeing a picture of that one. So
I think burgundy is a color that a lot of people may not purchase it initially, but I feel like if they trusted it and they got it, they would be really excited about it and they'd love it because it always looks really good. I feel like it's also a color that can't really be captured in a as well as it does in person.
Mm-hmm. Oh, also, yeah, GMK Burgundy Round 3 is happening on Dixie Mac next year, right?
Yes.
So that would be a good candidate for a Burgundy board.
Yeah, maybe you can time that up.
But like we got a Burgundy in, but GMK Modern Dolce with the red accents, and it looked really good. But a lot of that's because it's just Modern Dolce looks great on everything. Burgundy looks like royalty. Like a set called royalty, or just royalty as in
Just looks classy.
let's look Ron Burgundy. GMK Ron Burgundy needs
Man.
So but yeah, super excited for Peaches and Cream, man. That's like probably one of my sets of the year.
Yeah,
Like, if
we're
I had to rank them.
so we're actually on our third round of color sampling. And the first round it came in, we weren't quite satisfied, so we tweaked it a little bit for round two, and we still weren't. And I hate having to delay sets, but the worst thing is like not getting it right.
Yep.
So I'd rather delay it and get it right than just like rush it and choose the wrong colors. So it was initially supposed to ship around this time. It's probably not going to happen. Our latest estimate is January, but that's also probably not going to happen. Until we get those color samples in and like finalize them with GMK, we don't have like a certain time frame until that happens. So
Well,
it's unfortunate, but at the same time, it's like you really got to get it right. And I've also learned from it. I've now, like before sets run, I try to get at least one round of color sampling done prior to the group buy opening.
Yeah, it's well, I've said I kind of said this about Modern Dolch specifically because they were slated for January, got it in May. And I was like, the second you get the set in your hands, it no longer matters. You haven't had it for. It's like the second you get, or at least shipment notification, then it's like, okay, I don't care because it's already on the way now, so I'm happy.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
or I guess do you want to ask that?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, what boards were you most excited about at Socal? Because you just got back from Socal this past weekend.
Yeah, Socal. So I got to try out the wrist breaker. I don't know if you guys have seen this interest check. It's like I don't know what the angle is. Is it like 14 degrees or 20 degrees or something insane?
Can someone link it in chat, por favor?
That was definitely it's definitely a wrist breaker. I hated typing on it, but I loved them. Like it was really, really cool. In terms of other favorites, FC65. I'm really happy. It was expensive, but I'm really happy I joined that. Just seeing that like carbon fiber top in person, like it made it all kind of worth it. It looks so nice. I like no one else has that sort of finish, right? No one else is doing carbon fiber like that. So that's really, really cool. I didn't get a chance to check out Dixie's next board. I think he's called the Schofield. I didn't get a chance to look at it. I realized it
TKO.
was there after I left the meetup. So like I was disappointed like when I found out that, you know, it was there. And then another board I like seeing, I think it's called like the Square 80. It was this board that had like the little colored cutouts by the keys or whatever. First, I didn't know it had already shipped, and second, I thought it was like really cool. Like it was really, really cool. So
That was a quick one. It was an interest check, and then like a month later, it was a group buy. It's kind of because it was Fox Lab, and that's kind of how they are. They just are like, yep, here it is. Okay, we're gonna run it.
They already shipped. Like that's crazy. That's awesome. I wish I could do that. You know, like,
it's not even. You know, we talked about. It's not even an interest check at that point. They're just more like, hey, this is happening. We're just putting it in the interest check situation, but we know it'll sell enough.
Yeah. One of our good buddies and our mod for the channel, Metallic Charles, has a black and red one coming. So I'm excited to see that because I did see pictures of the one you're talking about. It was the yellow and black one.
Yeah, that's the one.
And oh man, it looked awesome. And that's really unique in the way that it's done. What you're talking about with the surrounding the keys. It's like it almost looks like it's like a rubber piece surrounding everything.
Yeah. It's a really cool effect in person. I thought it was pretty cool. You know, when I saw it like on the IC and for the group buy thread, but like in person, it's like even cooler. So, and you know, there were so many other cool boards at the SoCal meetup. Like there were just a ton. There was like one board in a keyboard bell case that I really liked. I think there were like burnt oranges in it or something. Like things that like I wouldn't really think to ever build myself. It was just cool, like check those out. And then I think like AIO3 had a Vega prototype. So he's done Polaris. Vega's like the 65% version of that. He also had like a split ergo with like these polycarbonate wrist rests. Split ergos, okay, cool. Like, but those polycarbonate wrist rests were like really cool. So like, I don't know. Like, there's just a lot of cool stuff.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then the follow up question of what was the worst board at the
Oh,
Call them out.
also the wrist breaker. Like,
also the wrist breaker.
Also the wrist breaker. It's
I saw
awful to
the-
type on, but
I saw the picture had SA as well. It's just like,
yeah.
well, fuck you. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think there was any like worst board there.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times everything's pretty freaking cool. Plus, it's like people are at different places in their keyboard journey, you know?
yep.
Hmm.
And just because
I
it's
mean-
not the most expensive board there doesn't mean it's bad. So,
I think I saw. I don't know. I think I saw at least like a couple tofu,
Mhm.
and they were cool.
yeah, I mean,
Which-
Yeah.
there are some people who are just like insane at like lubing and building, and it's just like this feels so much better than any other tofu I've felt.
Yep.
So,
You can get, I mean, that's the glory of this hobby too, is like, you can get a routing, or you can get something small, route out two of the, the two holes or not, and then put them side by side with a fiel or something like also tray mount, and then be like, this is better because the person is better at building keyboards than the
Mhm.
person that built the fiel. So maybe not better, but it just might be more to your liking. Or switches. I mean, switches play a huge role. So
but yeah, the wrist breaker looks intense. It looks like a
It was hard to type on.
chore.
Like, it's named appropriately. Like it was not easy to type on.
This is one of those things that when I would see an interest check like this initially, which I don't know how I missed this, but when I would look at something like this, I'm like, wait, he prototyped it? Like this almost looks like it should be a meme. But man,
hey, more power
that's
to you.
awesome.
Mr. Petrov asks, how do you feel about left vertical macro columns in terms of both function and aesthetic?
Okay. I like them. Like, okay. The one thing I don't like though is no offense to Petro because he's shown some renders. I don't like when people have the vertical left macro column and then they remove the top key. Because to me, if you have like a 60%, you add that column, that's a great place to put the missing escape key, which I love having on 60. Like I wish I really like 60%, but my one qualm with 60% is I wish they had like a proper escape and tilde on the left side,
Mhm.
right? As like a software engineer, it's like it's I wish I had both, right? So when you have that left vertical column, for me, it's like please don't remove that top key because that's where I want to put my escape. And then like I think what was the board? Was it the like the Jur 80 or something,
Mhm.
or was that the one?
Let's see.
Jur 80. I one of these boards like it had that vertical left column and it removed that top key, and I was like, oh, why would you do that? Like, I was so upset. I was like, I would a Germany. Yeah, it was a
Germany.
Germany. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it removed the top key for the logo. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
All right.
I
See, I'm one of those. I'm one of those weird people that I built on my TKL, where the tilde goes. I put another escape because I don't want to change how I type based on a TKL versus 60%. So I just have the mod colored escape key and then the accent colored escape key.
My only
Hey.
thing with 60% and not having the tilde up there is when I play CS and I accidentally hit escape all the time instead of because tilde opens your what's it call it?
Developer or whatever.
Yeah, the developer HUD or whatever where you can type
Uh-huh.
in stuff. And so having it on the opposite side is like, oh, it takes a little bit of getting used to. Your console, that's what it's called.
There it
Thank you,
is.
Drifting Bunnies.
I don't like
click.
splitting backspace either. So like I'm one of those weirdos. Yeah.
Split backspace is best
why would you-
backspace.
This is weird.
Which one?
The Mr. Petrov, the board that Mr. Petrov just put in. I like it because it's a 75% ish without arrow keys. But honestly, give me that board without that left column. Like that's what I want.
You just don't want extra keys. I like it. I think
don't
that's
care.
awesome.
I'm all about. The only reason I even want like a F row is because then it shows off the keycap set. Like that's I don't care about function keys. I don't use them that. So I guess they're helpful if you're like trying to refresh the page a billion times. So try and get on those key cult raffles. But
Actually, like on Windows, having like a 60% doesn't bother me as much as on Mac OS X. Because on OS X, so QMK has this thing where like if you hold meta and you hit, it's like the G escape key. So if you hold like the Windows key and then you hit escape, it turns into grave, right? But on OS X, you hold meta and then you have to hit grave to like cycle through like different Chrome windows you have open. Like if you have multiple Chrome windows open, you gotta cycle through them, and then like that's for me. That's why I need that key. I agree. Like the F row is like I don't really need the F row, but the escape key and the tilde key, that's for me. That's all I really need. Just both. Yeah.
Yeah, this board, Mr. Petrov, I really like it. I think it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool looking. It's like a 75%, like Chewy said, but no arrows. It's kind of like
who needs arrows?
what would this percentage be? I know we
70.
like to name it, but
I would call it a reverse 70%.
but no, it looks awesome.
Oh yeah, Petrov. Yeah, that's good. You didn't. Yeah, that's good. I like that.
Yeah, it's like he's having his cake and he's eating it too with the logo up in the corner because it's the 75 layout with the F row. He's able to put his little logo and design up there, but not miss out on the escape key. Caps lock to tilde. It's interesting.
I mean, I guess I could do that.
So because I'm split backspace on everything, even like including TKLs, like I just have tilde above backspace, so I never run out of that issue. But anyway, so I guess my one question is, what key set are you most excited for of the ones that you have run?
Of the ones that I've run thus
Yes.
far,
You got Waves, Peaches and Cream, Rudy this month. What was last month?
Cafe.
Was that November or October?
That was November. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Delta was last month.
Delta.
Cafe was October. Yeah. Man, dude, this is like
pick your favorite kid. All right.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, dude, this is such a hard question. Oh, dude, this is rough.
Here, I'll make it a little easier for you.
Okay. All right.
So, what color is your personal satisfaction?
My personal satisfaction right now is blue satisfaction.
Okay.
Navy.
So
Deep ocean blue.
What key set are you most excited that you are running to put on that one?
Ooh.
I would say Voyage.
Voyage? All right.
Yeah.
Blue theme.
For the blue one.
Does Miknos in chat?
Yeah, right. Miknos is all about the blue.
But the white satisfaction 75 with Peaches and Cream.
That's or Cafe.
Yeah. Both of them are so good.
Waves would also look really good on a blue satisfaction 75. Man, now I don't know. I don't know anymore. They both look great.
Yeah, I'm really excited for Waves personally, because that's one. It was funny when it was running earlier this year. We had talked about it where I was like, man, every time I look at this set, at first I was like, I don't really like it, but every time I look at it, I was like, I like this more and more. And then I finally, like, the last couple days, and it's funny because this is the first time that this has happened where Chewy and I have purchased a set without talking to each other about it. And he was like, I bought Waves, and I was like, wait, I bought Waves too. And we were like, we're supposed to talk about this.
We're supposed to figure this out together.
But
Yeah.
but yeah, waves, and man, like you were saying, the pictures from Europe look incredible. They did a
Yeah.
great job of matching those colors.
So I didn't have as much of an active role in like the color matching process with waves, and I think Enjoy and David at Candy Keys, like they did a good job just like getting that all right. So
Yeah,
pretty
that had. I mean, because that's a tough green to get.
like the
That
neon one.
electric neon green.
Yeah.
And I know that they had some issues at first, which I mean, at the end of the day, if they get it right, it doesn't matter how many issues they had because they got it right. Like
Mhm.
that's the most important part, like you said earlier, is just delivering a product that's as close to as possible. But we've talked about this before, and everyone knows the couple key sets that unfortunately have missed the mark. And you're looking at a computer screen, and every computer screen is color corrected differently,
Yep.
and or sometimes you're on your phone. Like I have my laptop is works fine, it does exactly what I need to do. The screen is terrible. I can get 3 different hues just looking at it at a different angle. So I'll be at work on my laptop, and someone will send me like, "Hey, what's this color look?" I'm like, "Dude, look at that for another 6 hours before I can give you an accurate description." So, but waves, that's one. I'm excited to see how it looks. I'm excited to see that green pop.
Yeah, I'm excited to get them. Like I haven't seen them in person yet. I've seen
Mhm.
like the color samples, but I haven't seen like a double shot cap yet.
Mhm.
I'm really excited to see that.
And I definitely agree with some of these people in chat. I think Delta, we talked about this the past couple of weeks, is GMK Delta was slept on. I think that's going to be a set once it comes out. People
It's gonna be an
Yeah.
are
aftermarket
going to be
murder.
upset.
I mean like the other vendors and I we bought it out. Um but there's not going to be like a ton of extras. Like Cafe, it sold really well, right? So we bought a ton of extras for Cafe. But yeah, for Delta, like when something struggles like that, it's hard to really like put up like a ton of your money to like buy it out, right? So there will be extras, but not like a ton. So
Mhm.
Yeah, that's
I thought it would I thought it's going to be really cool. Like if you look at Tokyo Nights, I actually have a keycap right here. If you look at Tokyo Nights, like this is Delta. It's the same colors, just in different spots. Like this key will be in Delta, like the monocolored pipe. Like it's gonna be in Delta. So um, it it matches Hyperfuse, like it matches Tokyo Nights. I think it's gonna be good. So
we've already made that that claim that next year that's going to be the cap set that people are like, wait, what? Like
What happened?
how DMG was this year.
mhm.
I feel like Delta's going to be that next year. It's going to come out and it's going to look great. I mean, those colors look fantastic on boards, and it's
I was gonna
simple
ask,
enough.
how did I miss that? There were 11 key sets. Like,
Yeah,
that's a tough part. 11 key sets going into a month, knowing that the biggest keycap group buy of the year was going to happen that month. So it's a tough month. And November is also when you start having to go, okay, well, I got to start thinking about Christmas and what I'm going to buy people that don't spend an egregious amount of money on keyboards.
yeah. I mean, if you look at the months, like October had both Dracula and Cafe, and it had what was Camping
Yeah.
on Mike.
Yep.
Yeah, all three of those sold like amazingly, right? And then looking at December, you have Olivia, so it's like
Yeah.
Olivia plus plus. So November was kind of like it was rough.
Yeah, you had when you think about it, you had probably over 5,000 base kits sold between
Just the three. There were more
Dracula.
sets than just that.
Yeah, between the sets that Novel Keys was running, Dracula, and Cafe. It's crazy. And then last month, how is that as a vendor? Like looking at that, were you just like, what is happening? Because it's been all
Well,
year. It's just been everything is MOQ. MOQ doesn't matter anymore. We can sell 500 kits, no problem.
well, I mean, going into it, I kind of suspected it might happen. Just
Mhm.
knowing like November, like, look, you know, Cafe Dracula camping just finished. Like, November is going to be a rough month, right? Um, a lot of, there were a lot of hyped group buys in October as well, right? Like Iron 165 was end of September, I think, and like TMO, like all these things were like in October and they were hyped and took a lot of people's money. So, um, going into it, I wasn't surprised by um, how like how much of a struggle it was in November. And going into it, I was fully prepared to like have to buy it out. It was just a matter of how much, right? Um, and the last week, the last few days, really, um, a lot of people like bought it and made it like way easier to buy out. So
Mhm.
that was
Which,
really, really appreciated. I'm thankful for that. So
well,
yeah.
and thank you for buying it out because I know that that's a worry with a lot of the sets that were running last month that extended and they're kind of getting to the end of their extension. They're not sure if it's going to get bought out, so definitely appreciate you taking that financial risk because at the end of the day, it is a financial risk and putting the money forward to make that set happen.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll do well. Like you guys are saying, like I think it's a solid set. Um, I think it's like basic enough to fit with like a ton of different boards.
Yeah.
So
It's not offensive.
yeah, exactly. It's not like kind of like out there, I guess. It's pretty tame, I think. Um, so when you have a set like that, it's easier to buy it out. If there's something that's like a little bit more out there, I think that would like, for example, if it was Hamon or something, like if I was running Hamon and it struggled really hard, like I don't know if I would try to buy that out, right? It would
Mhm.
depend on like how much it would be,
Yeah.
um, but yeah,
It's,
or
it's
and
no.
or bike, like yeah,
So I'm curious to see how going into November next year, if there will be some learning from the past or if there will be vendors that kind of back off during that time. Because obviously, November was tough. There are a lot of external factors, including Olivia being announced for December 1st. But
Mhm.
I'm curious to know if history will repeat itself again. We've talked a lot in the last month about slowing group buys down, and do we really need 14 keycap sets going on at the same time and all of that. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, at the same time, like the hobby's growing,
Yep.
right? Like if you look at the number of subscribers on our mechanical keyboards on Reddit, like it's just exploded. So um, who knows? Like maybe this time next year, hobby will double the size, and November won't be,
Yeah.
250 might not be a problem in November.
We'll have 20 GMK keycap sets all
Oh my
hitting
gosh.
MOQ. Yeah, Tara will be another big one. 2020 is going to be a big year round twos. I've been saying that all year.
I
Yeah,
don't.
I'm excited for Taro. I love purple sets, so like
Yeah,
yeah.
purple looks great, and I thought for a while that it would be a big year of round twos, but we haven't seen as many announced, and I think with how vendors are, I'm not sure if you want to share how booked out you are for next year for sets, but from talks, it's people are already into like the latter half of 2020 in terms of what they have lined up.
I
So
think I have sets lined up till June, so yeah, and I haven't wanted to go past June.
yeah,
Yeah.
So yeah,
Metaverse round two, Tara round two, Burgundy round three.
yeah.
So
Shoko round
I
two.
guess
Yeah.
reruns, Shoko round two. So
yeah.
we are seeing a bunch, and they also don't. I mean, if you look at like Dixie announcing Burgundy in January was actually kind of out of the norm of Dixie, who likes to keep more focus on the current group buy. Um, so should be interesting. But I might maybe it'd be a good time to show off some fun stuff.
Oh yeah, Chewy wants. I was surprised that you didn't show it off at the beginning.
I wanted to keep it. I wanted to keep the focus on Upas for as long as possible.
Well, thanks.
before I
Thanks
just
for that.
felt. So I will say, this board, you partially helped design this board.
Who, me?
Oh yeah.
How?
I'll explain so I don't give it
Okay.
away to the review doesn't know. This is the Baka 60, and you help provide files because of how much I love the ANSI. This board was designed with the ANSI,
Okay.
and I co-designed this with Blind Assassin, who reached out to you to get some files for the ANSI.
Oh, that's right. I remember
And
him
you
asking.
graciously present. So, for those who don't know, I co-design. I say design. I drew a really shitty drawing because I had an idea about the side profile, because it's a 60%. You can't do a whole lot with it unless you draw the Mona Lisa on the back of the weight and charge everyone $16,000 to do that. There's not a whole lot you could do, but you could do a lot with the side profile. And I was looking at it and I was like, I think this would be kind of a cool side profile. And this is something that this time last year I had been talking with Osiris about. This before Mechs on Deck was even named Mechs on Deck. And I sent him all these pictures, and I think this would be kind of a cool idea, maybe one day. And so I met Blind Assassin, and I sent him some pictures, and then he was able to work his magic. But as well as the background to this was taking the TX60 and things I didn't like about the TX60 and fixing those. So first and foremost, it's got wind keyless blockers, so Upas, sorry to offend you.
It's all good.
So sorry for the audio. So for those who are excited,
Baka 60.
the Baka 60 exists, and this is the side profile. So focus on it. So what I wanted is everybody and their mother was designing boards where it indented on the backside, and I wanted to reverse that, and I did. So the front has these little knobs that I really like. Not knobs, indents.
Cutouts. Yeah.
That I really enjoy. For those who don't know, it's fixed plate brass. So the only option I allowed was stepped caps because I wanted send it. I can't yet because one of the boxes is not it's still in customs. Still, I can't stop talking about that. But yeah, so it's an awesome board. I'm really excited. I'll probably be building next week. So yeah, and this is Osiris's weight actually.
Yeah, it is. It's my weight. It's number 9.
Come on, focus. Number 9.
Serialized.
Serialized for this run, for those who helped me make it a thing. Funny story. Hold on. Okay. Sorry for the headphone users. So funny story for I went to FedEx and I had to pick it up because I was at work when they missed me. I go and I'm standing in line and I'm like, hey, I'm here. The package just said they're here. And they're like, all right. So the woman goes in the back and a couple people start coming in and they're lined up. And Axot, man, you're about to get banned. But all I hear is this woman yelling in the back, what the hell's in these boxes? This feels like bricks. Come on. She had to and she came out, she stomped across and right before I said that, these people were kind of like, man, why is there a line? And I was like, hey, I'm sorry. I have these giant boxes and they weigh a lot. And that's why it's taking a minute. So you could blame me. And literally 2 seconds later, she was like, what's in these boxes? Did they just ship bricks? I was like, man, I could just tell them they're cinder blocks and that'd be more believable than what they actually are. So it took them a while to wheel it out. But I've got can't really see, but there's just 2 giant boxes right off screen full of keyboards. But yeah, you helped with the ANSI.
Yeah,
And
I
an
remember him
ANSI.
asking now. Now that you mention it, yeah, he asked me and then I forgot about it. And he asked me again and I sent it to him. So
But thank you. We'll have more. I'll have more stuff about the Baca. The Baca 65 will not be a thing. If you did not know, I am not a fan of the 65% layout. So, but
I did have a quick question. So when you saw the serialized, you were like, "Ooh, serialized." Is that what are your opinions on serialized boards?
I mean, they're cool. I don't know. I don't like serializing mine just because like knowing what goes into it too. Like every time you're doing a different engraving, that's a new setup and everything.
Yep.
It's going to add to the cost. Um, for me, like it's all about like trying to keep things accessible. And I kind of feel like serializing goes kind of against that because it will make it more expensive, and then also
Mhm.
like it feels more exclusive and not as like inclusive. So um, I'm not hating on
Oh no,
serializing.
no!
I'm not hating on serializing at
This
all.
was a private group buy.
Yeah,
That
and like I
halfway
think in
through,
that
people were
situation,
like, "You could release this as a public one," and I was like, "Yeah, but that'd be cool for the people that helped me kind of basically prototype this board. For the people that really helped, that was awesome." So I was like, "Oh, that'd be cool to do. Like the first 20 get serialized, and then
yeah,
everybody else that gets one, they don't get their serialized, and then." It just kind of worked out that everyone was like, "Oh yeah, I'm on board with that." So
yeah. I think that that totally makes sense. Like, yeah, but for like personally, I probably won't serialize like public group buys.
mhm.
Yeah.
That's too different. I mean, I had to make this big list because it's like these people got this. Some I offered it in raw and
Mhm,
anodized, and I was like, well, okay, like that weight is not that's Eric's weight, but it's not actually his board
mhm.
because Eric got it in raw. So now I have to like go in and take the weights out and then like put in. So it's a process. I wouldn't do a public serialized. So
Yeah, and then people like they want to have certain numbers too, so you might get
mhm.
requests for that. And
Cough cough
even
Osiris.
If you run a serialized buy, I want number 9.
So with the satisfaction, I had like these little postcards, and I would like write a number on them, right? It wasn't serializing the board, but you get some token of like
Mhm.
joining the first group buy, right? Um, and even still, like people wanted like their specific numbers, and I was kind of just like, hey, like you're gonna get what you get.
Mhm.
I I'm trying my best to get these out quickly. The more requests I get, like the harder that's gonna be. So like just please bear with me and let me ship them. So
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things too. It's like if you do like most things that you buy are serialized, right? Like if you buy something that's serialized, you don't get to pick it. It's not like you get to go to I don't get to go to Gibson and be like, "Yeah, I want the a guitar with this serial number specifically." No, you just get what you get. And most of the time, serial numbers are not for you. They're for an identifier for the manufacturer of like when it was
mhm.
made, where it was made, things like that. But I do think it's an interesting way to, and I like Axot's thing about putting like a release number. So like if you're doing like multiple revisions of a board, I think it's an interesting way to kind of differentiate boards or like revisions or small changes.
I like that idea actually. Yeah, that's a good point.
So, and a common phrase at the school that I work at is "you get what you get and you don't throw a fit."
I
So,
feel like when you work in elementary schools, that's kind of like,
oh, that's a mainstay. That is a twice a day. That is a twice a day statement. My wife off camera is shaking her head very intently, saying, "Yep," nodding. Sorry, not shaking, but nodding insanely. But yeah, serial numbers. While it's great for private, smaller buys, it's not something that I would. Honestly, a big part of it is I was like, it'd be cool to get like I could have number 1, and then
Mhm.
Osiris would have his number 9, and like
well, because
so.
initially the initial plan was there was only going to be 9.
Yep.
Decided to expand it because so for those that don't know, Chewy's birthday's coming up here in a couple weeks. His
It's
is
less than a month away now.
yeah, his is 1-9, right? And then mine is 9-9. So his board was gonna be 1-9, and then my board was gonna be 9-9. So it'd be kind of cute. It'd be our birthdays, but then it's way
The lower
easier
cost
to do.
we had to.
Yeah, to do 20.
1 and 9. Yeah.
Well, that, and then of course, like the first thing after talking about that with a smaller group is who's going to get number 6-9.
Yeah,
It's like, all right,
victory auction for number 6.
number 6.
One thing I think that Key Cult does is I think I've seen these, like their boards have like these little like metal plate kind of things, sticker things that have like special numbers on them.
Mhm.
I feel like that's more okay if you're like trying to serialize. Again, I think it's luck of the draw too. Like you get the
Yeah.
number you get.
And you don't get a fit. You don't throw a fit.
Exactly. So like all of those things, like I think he might do those in house or something, so it becomes like more affordable. If I have the capability of doing that, I'd consider doing it as well. So
Yeah, and I think you could look up the way other companies do the serialization and maybe like come up with your own version of that. Like I can't remember what the Gibson guitar was, but I think it's like first 2 is the year.
Well, it's year, and then like 5 numbers down is the second part of the year.
Well, yeah, it's like it's
And then
it's the first day, the first of the 2 for year, and then the middle 3 are the day that it was made, and then it's the other part of the year. So 1 and 4 make up the middle 3 are the day of the year, and then like there's an indicator code of where the guitar was made, and then there's like 3 other random numbers.
Yeah.
gotta come up with like a serialization pattern kind of thing. Yeah.
And then people are just struggling to figure out the code.
But it gives it a little bit of a meaning, and it's not just like, yeah, you are number 1.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but the only thing that I've been getting, and I think everybody in the group buy that I've done is kind of like, don't sell this board because there's 20, and that's not the point. The point of this was not to flip the board. The point of this group buy was to get this specific thing. And the issue I kind of have with serialization, especially on like an open group buy, is if you have like 200, then suddenly 2 boards that are the exact same, one might have the number 8 and one might have the number 312, and the number 8 suddenly is now $100 more expensive aftermarket because it's got a lower number.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the other thing that's, it can be tough.
Mm-hmm.
Rick.
although
Chat, yeah.
I think you would understand if he was able to get someone to buy it for 10 grand.
If someone like you toss me and we're even.
No, yeah, but that's interesting about serial numbers, because I think it's one of those things that I've always been like, why don't people do more serial numbers? But then it's like, it's entirely like unnecessary expense for an open buy, and it just creates more time for you as a trying to put everything together. But
if you guys have any more questions for Upas or myself or Osiris, please just hit the at Mex on deck. I think I got. Yep. So far, I've been trying to watch that. So, thank you, J Chef, for the continued sub.
So we've had a couple different vendors on now, and I'm always interested to hear, when you are looking to get sets, what is that process like? Have you had any where you've reached out to them and you've been like, dude, I want to run this, or has it mostly been they reach out to you?
I want to say it's kind of like a combination. It's like 50-50, right? For Cafe, I definitely reached out. I was like, "Hey Jeff, like please, can I run it?" And he had already. I don't know. Like I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say this. I think it's okay. This
Set's already run.
I was about to say, I think if
Yeah.
this is gonna be, he had already reached out to like Dixie.
Yes.
He said that on
Okay.
just when we had him
Cool.
on,
Cool.
so you're good.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Good. So I'm in the clear. Yeah. He'd already reached out to Dixie, and he wanted to do like when I heard that, I'm like, oh, absolutely, just go run with Dixie. Like I'm not trying to like poach a set or anything like that. But Dixie didn't have space. Like I think he was already booked out. So I lucked out in that regard. Like Cafe kind of just like fell into my lap. So after I reached out, for other sets like Peaches and Cream, I think Rensui also reached out to me. But other sets I've definitely reached out about. There's one that's running next year, and I don't think it's been announced that I'm running it, but I reached out to them and they said yeah. So yeah, it goes either way. Recently, a lot of people have been reaching out to me, but uh, again, like I'm booked till June at this point, so it's hard, right? Because like um, I don't want to book past June because you don't know what like the landscape's going to look like or anything like that, and you also kind of want to stay flexible.
Mhm.
What if you have to move things around or like something else comes up? So it's hard to tell people like, yeah, sorry, like I like your set, but I just don't have space right now. But it's necessary, right? So
Mhm.
I feel like there's a lot of people too. They don't want to wait till
Yeah.
June to run it.
yeah, that's definitely true. And I personally don't want to run like more than one GMK set a month, right? If it's a different profile, okay, yeah, that's different, right? Or if it's like an extension kit, it's also different. But to me, that just it feels like they're competing a little bit too against each other a little bit too much. Yeah, like if I were to run two GMK sets at once, I would go in fully knowing that like, hey, I might have to buy both of them out, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know why people don't want to wait. I think they just want their stuff now, even if it
Mhm.
means that um, their set might not sell as well. But I think that's also okay. Like that's totally fine, right? Like they just want to see their vision seen to completion as quickly as possible.
Well, because if you think about it too, it's like if I come to you tomorrow and say, "Hey, let's get me in July for this set," right?
Hmm.
That set's not going to come to fruition until probably early 2021.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
so it's like I'm waiting a year and a half or a year and a couple months for set to come out. And
Yeah.
so like Belly
The same
Assassin said,
essay.
they don't
Yeah.
want to wait that long.
Yeah. So I totally understand that. Like, for me, it's like no hard feelings if they go with someone else because it's too late. But if I'm full, I'm full, right? There's nothing I can really do about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I also think it's like people are saying how hype dies down. I think there's a way to go about it. I think we've seen it starting to happen more and more where people will get their distribution for their set before they announce the actual like interest check. I think that's going to be kind of the way that we're going to have to go to, just because I wouldn't want to release an interest check now and then sit on it for 6-7 months until summer next year, because that's kind of what we've been hearing is that everyone's booked out to mid to late next year.
Yeah.
And when you sit on it that long, it's hard to drum that hype back up. So, and then interest
Yeah.
checks are really just an advertisement. I think
Hype checks.
it's a hype check, and it's more of like we talked a little bit about this with Dixie last week, and I'm interested to hear your thoughts on it as well. We've gotten so good at running key sets, interest checks don't really do as much as they used to. People aren't forgetting as many keys anymore.
Hmm. I mean, I still think there's room to play with kitting and interest
Mhm.
checks and whatnot. Um, I mean, one thing that like I've noticed through running sets is like 40s kits, like unless you're selling novel keys or Dixie numbers, like a lot of the times they don't make it, right?
Mhm.
100 units of a 40s kit is a lot. Um, and typically I'd say about 10% of the people who buy a base kit buy a 40s kit, right? Which means if your base kit isn't hitting 1,000, your 40s kit's not going to hit MOQ, right? Without some vendor help or someone, someone else buying like 50 of them or whatever, right? Um, but I think there might be like a middle ground kind of way to like make some of the 40s users satisfied without having to run a 40s kit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I do think there's still room for feedback. Um, at the same time, it's like, yeah, like if you want a good base kit, like just go look and see what Dixie ran, right? Like
Yeah.
he has it almost down to a science. Like these are all the keys you need, right? But again, I do think um there is room to like play around with it and see what can happen.
Yeah, and I
Um,
think I think
I yeah,
oh, go ahead.
I see Drifting Bunnies asking like, isn't that risky? You get like $170 large base kit. Um, I think yeah, I agree. If a base kit is going to be $170, it's that would be risky, and I probably wouldn't want to run it like that. But I think it's all about like compromises. So like maybe you don't get all the 40 skis, but you get some of them in base. So um, we're actually trying that with Moondust. If you look at our base kit for Moondust, there are like a few 40 skis included. We have like very limited ortho support. Like all the profiles are correct. The legends are kind of wonky or whatever. Like one says out, one says read. Um, but we're just trying it out. We'll see if the community likes it, and if so, like maybe I'll try doing that more in the future.
And I
You're just-
think when you get into like when a vendor puts their name on a set and says, "Hey, I'm going to put you in my queue." You're not like it's not done at that point in terms of the kitting. Like that's something you can still have an interest check come out a couple months before and say, "Hey, it is going to be on Canon Keys, but we're still getting interest, and we're still open to doing the kitting." So you can kind of get that middle ground like you're talking about. Because realistically, as bad as it sounds, you're realistically putting your money in a colorway. Like
Oh, yeah, seriously.
so, you can still go if your set's going to run in July. You can still come out with your late April, early May interest check, keep that hype going for 2-3 months, and then run your set and have a ball. Not lose out on that hype.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think we might move into our final two questions.
Oh,
Unless you guys, there's a heavy hitter, and then there's what could be an even heavier hitter or
okay.
a swing and a miss.
All right.
All right. So the first one is, what is your favorite and least favorite thing about the community right now?
Okay. My favorite thing is there are a lot of new people designing keyboards, key sets. I think it's become easier than ever to kind of just like see a design to fruition. And I think we've seen that a lot recently. Um, I think keeping that like accessible is a really nice thing. I think we're also trying to be a little bit more inclusive with like how we run sets. You see more sets with like ISO. You see Cat coming out with like North and South compatibility kits. Like
Cat's
to me,
ridiculous.
that's yeah, I know, but like that's awesome, right?
It's
It's just
crazy.
like more
It's
people
awesome.
can have
Yeah.
what they want. Yeah. So to me, that's like what I like about the community right now. One of my most favorite things about the community is like there is an emphasis on that, like trying to include more people and make people happy, and also like the capability of people to just like see their ideas happen, right? Least favorite thing. Uh, that's harder. Um, yeah. I don't know. With like accessibility and stuff, there's a chance for us, some people to maybe not like run things the way I would run them, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. But in some aspects, it can be. Like, I think if you're like, I think people need to be responsible, and I don't know if that's necessarily happening across the board. So,
Mhm.
um, that's kind of scary. So, yeah.
Yeah. To me, it kind of goes along with like you have people there's some people who try to get in. We've talked about this before. They try to get into everything.
Yep.
And they're doing every different thing in the community and they're going too far and then they burn themselves out. They make a mistake. Now the community doesn't like them. I think it's one of those things sometimes you just gotta slow down. You just gotta take some time.
One thing
Yeah.
at a time.
Yeah.
Funny. I'm doing 20 boards and I'm already like, whew. Oh, I hope I can do this. I'm like, I have the access of like 6 different people to help, and like it's really not that complicated. I'm still just like, I don't know how people do this with like 100 boards. Like obviously I don't have a factory / warehouse to work out of.
Well, and
Like,
you didn't even do.
I couldn't have. Yeah, and I didn't even do half the work.
Well, I'm saying you didn't do like an interest check or like a
Yeah, I
like a
didn't
group by
do-
page or like have to deal with payment processing.
Yeah,
all
I
that.
just basically had it handed to me. I just have to fulfill it. But then I'm like, I couldn't imagine doing this, Mechs on Deck, and then also being like, I'm trying to find this group buy, or I'm trying to find this, get this keycap set going, or I'm trying to do this. I'm like, I no, like one thing at a time. You was it Ron Swanson? Never whole ass, or never half ass 2 things, whole ass one.
Yeah.
Good lead into The Office or Parks and Rec. That's our
Oh
final
man.
question.
Oh man. They're both great shows. They're both by the same guy, right?
Yep.
And he also does like
Greg Daniels. He does Brooklyn Nine-Nine
Brooklyn
and The
Nine-Nine,
Good Place.
The Good Place. Yeah, all great shows. For me, I probably would lean Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
Probably. Just because I don't know. I
They're both
haven't watched all The
amazing.
Office.
They're both amazing.
Yeah, they both are. Yeah, I like Parks and Rec a little bit more. But if you threw Brooklyn Nine-Nine in, I would choose that.
See, and I really like Brooklyn. I think Brooklyn Nine-Nine has the strongest lateral cast
Yeah, like everyone.
of all of them. Like every single one of them is just like perfect. Where there are a couple weak links in the other two, but I mean they did that on purpose though. That was 100%.
It's just getting like this. It's just like getting relatively the same formula better.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, I can never get over The Office's like nostalgia for me personally. That's why I choose The Office. So
I choose Parks and Rec because I have a very hard time watching Michael Scott do Michael Scott things.
I kind of feel like I'm the same way. Like it's just like too awkward.
Like I literally can't watch Scott's.
Yeah.
Like that's that episode is just too hard to watch.
Oh man. Well, we definitely appreciate you coming on. It's been a crazy year for you, crazy year for Canon Keys. Wish you
Yeah,
the
it
best
has.
into 2020.
Thank you.
I don't know how
Man.
you shipped out how many satisfactions? 75s was it?
It was 200.
Jeez.
200. I had help.
Okay. I hope.
Otani Shock came down to help QC. And then my girlfriend helped pack and ship all the stuff. Like she helped a ton, so I couldn't do it alone. And yeah, like I've had help and support along the way. But the community supported me as well, and like it's just been great. So
it's definitely been crazy to see the growth of Canon Keys as well as some of the other vendors this year that just really have like exploded. Hopefully one day you'll make it your full-time job. That'd be awesome. I don't know if that's something you want to do necessarily, but
I'm hoping, like we'll see what happens. Yeah.
So
I've always said like I'm gonna go. I'm not gonna quit my job until I feel like I really need to.
Right.
Like, and I've talking to Mike and Dixie. I think they've given me similar advice. Like both, I think Dixie was saying he was working like 16-hour days for like almost a year. So, yeah, we spoke a little bit about it. So, yeah.
So, but any by the way, plug away. Buy an
Oh.
ANSI, people.
Plugs. Okay. GMK Rudy's running right now. It's a navy, like gold, beige, and cream set. It's really nice. I like the colors a lot. And yeah, that's available on Canon Keys now. And then next month is GMK Moondust. So Moondust is coming. It's purple. It's awesome. It's probably one of the sets I'm looking forward to running the most.
Me too.
So yeah, those are my plugs for now.
Awesome.
There you go. Be sure also as well to check out our sponsors, switchmod.net/mexondeck, 4% off lube and springs and all that good stuff. Zap cables for some awesome custom cables and DIY kits, as well as some awesome desk mats. And GMK Dual Shot is being run. You can go to mexondeck.dixiemech.com to pick that up as well. Thank you, man. Thank you for saving us. And I remember I texted,
Thanks
I
for having me
messaged,
on.
I messaged Osiris and I was like, shit. I was like, we haven't gotten together. Like, he hit me up Friday and I was really busy this weekend. And I hit me up Friday or Saturday. He's like, hey, this can't happen. And I was like sitting there Monday. I say I was busy. I've just been playing Pokemon.
I was like, what?
Busy with video games. And I was like, shit, we haven't like come up with some.
What's
So-
sad is like since I started Canon Keys, I haven't had time to like really get back into video games. It's like I've had to sacrifice that to make sure that Canon Keys runs. Like,
Yeah, I
Kinda s-
definitely have my video game consumption has gone down since starting the channel, which not complaining. I enjoy doing this. It's awesome. But yeah, I don't play quite as much. I used to play like every night. It was like 3 or 4 hours of Overwatch.
Oh, yeah.
But now it's like maybe 2 or 3 times a week I play video games.
He says I don't think I'll ever get to play video games. Which, by the way, I see. Luckily, like days like today, I can't really like. Osiris does all the video editing. Thing you see, he takes care of. So I'm sitting there playing Pokemon. He's like editing videos deep into the night.
I'm like
That's
sending him
all of a sudden-
Snapchats like, hey, do you like this?
It's
Hey,
like,
do you
"Can
like
check
this?
Snap?" And I'm like, oh, I have to check my Snap now in the middle of playing Pokemon. Like, come on. But oh man, so
But no, I think that's
But-
going to do it for us tonight. We definitely appreciate everyone stopping by. Thanks again to Upas, and definitely check out Canon Keys, check out Rudy, check out Moondust. It's a set I'm very excited for. Designed by Rinsuya's girlfriend,
Jade, yeah.
Jade.
Thanks,
So-
guys. Thanks for having me on.
we're gonna raid Tyson, good friend of the stream, good friend of the channel. Be sure, Jay Chef, thank you for the 500 bits, man. Thank you. So, you guys have a good one and go check out Tyson.